Hello, my name is Charles, and I make wristwatches from vintage pocket watches and am frequently asked by customers browsing my inventory why a watch like this one on the screen right now costs 4 times what this next watch costs. Both watches are in the exact same case. Both are Waltham size 12 movements. Both have enamel dials. So, what's the difference? Here on the bench I have two movements similar to those in the watches you just saw. Let's start by looking at an ad from the early 1900s, the time period when these movements were made. Let's break out the lowest and highest quality Waltham movements that are like the watches on my bench. As you can see, the 7-jewel movement on the left is about $15, and the Maximus grade movement on the right is about $150, 10 times more expensive. In 1913, the average weekly American wage was about $13 for a 59-hour work week, making the cost of just the cheapest Waltham movement more than a week's wage, and you still had to spend about the same for the watch's case. Here, under the microscope, we have the less expensive $15 7-jewel movement. Jewels in a watch movement serve as bearings. They are usually made of hard sapphire or ruby and are highly polished so that when oiled, the steel pinions of the watch gears glide smoothly in them. A watch with more jewels has less friction in the gear train, will run smoother, keep better time, and experience less wear and tear due to use. The 7 jewels in this movement are in this area here. This is where jewels are most needed, in the escapement. The balance wheel, the wheel you see swinging back and forth, swings 18,000 times per hour. It has 4 jewels serving it. Without jewels on its pivots, it would quickly wear a hole in the metal plates of the watch. There is also a jewel where the balance wheel contacts the pallet fork, and 2 jewels in the pallet fork where it interacts with the escape wheel. 7 jewels are the bare minimum for a watch to be a quality watch, as evidenced by the fact that this one is over 100 years old and is still running, and it will continue to run for hundreds of years if properly maintained. An additional selling point listed on the advertisement we saw earlier is that this movement has a Breguet overcoil hairspring, which helps with isochronism. Isochronism is the ability of a watch to beat at the same rate regardless of the amount of wind left in the mainspring. It also has a split bimetallic balance wheel which will expand and contract to help the watch keep time in different temperatures. Being only 7 jewels, it does not have jewels on these pivots. The movement plates are nickel with beautiful damascening. Damascening is the engraving that is unique to American pocket watches. The gears in the train are made of common brass. The regulator is a simple lever that you push or pull to set it to a position where the watch keeps its best time. Flipping the movement over, we see that under the dial, no special attention has been paid to remove machining marks. The gears are plain brass, and it is just functional. Even though this is the lowest price movement Waltham offered, it's still a fine watch. Let's see what the movement that would have cost you 10 times more looks like. This is a 23 jewel movement. It has jewels everywhere you could want them, instead of the bare minimum 7 to just get the job done. This movement will run smoother, making it more likely to keep better time and experience less wear and tear in critical areas. Additionally, the Maximus grade, being their best grade, uses diamonds instead of rubies on the cap jewels of the balance wheel and escape wheel. The Maximus grade movement has the same basic features of the 7-jewel movement with the bimetallic split balance wheel and Breguet hairspring, with additional features like solid gold balance wheel screws. Additionally, it has solid gold train wheels and a hardened steel escape wheel. The regulator is a more complicated fine regulator with micro adjustments for finer regulation of the timekeeping. Each jewel is set in solid gold. The pallet fork and several other components are highly polished where they were unfinished in the 7-jewel movement. The screw heads are domed where they were flat in lower grade movements. Turning the movement over, we see that the gears are nicely finished and polished, and that the entire main plate has perlage decoration. All of this is hidden under the dial and would only have been seen by the watchmaker. Here we have diamonds as cap jewels on the balance wheel and escape wheel. The diamonds, while they are harder than rubies, have no functional advantage over rubies, as both diamonds and rubies are harder than the steel pivots that wear against them. Diamonds are just used for their aesthetic purposes here. Here, on another earlier Maximus grade movement, we see diamonds on the escape wheel, pallet fork pivot, and balance wheel. Looking at the glass-fired enamel dial on the Maximus, we see that it is a double-sunk dial, meaning that the center section is lower than the outer edge and that it is hand-painted. Looking at the glass-fired enamel dial on the 7-jewel movement, we see that it is a more simple flat dial with less artistic embellishment. People buy fine timepieces for many different reasons. Some appreciate the fine craftsmanship in them. Some appreciate their top quality materials. Others want an heirloom piece to mark a special occasion or to pass down through their family, while others appreciate the watchmaker's or brand's rich history. Some people just want to hang the most noteworthy, expensive item on their wrist that they can find so that everybody knows that they've just made it. Every watch makes a statement. Whatever your reason is, there is a watch out there for you. What statement do you want to make? Leave it in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and if you're interested in purchasing a watch like one of these, see the description below.